When a woman realizes you've lost interest, her reaction is rarely random. It's a reflection of how deeply she felt for you, how secure she thought the connection was, and how much pride she carries within herself. Men often misread this stage, thinking she simply doesn't care or that her silence means indifference. In reality, her behavior is layered, sometimes defensive, sometimes emotional, and other times strategic. Understanding these reactions gives you an edge because you see through the surface and into what's really happening. The truth is, modern dating has shifted the way women respond to loss of interest. With social media, constant communication, and a fast-paced lifestyle, women have more options and more distractions than ever before. But here's the key. Despite all those options, many women still take it personally when a man they value pulls back. It stirs something in them. It makes them question, analyze, and often react in ways that reveal their true feelings, even if they're trying hard to mask them. If you've ever noticed sudden changes in her tone, the way she texts, how much she wants your attention, or even the way she pulls away, those are not coincidences. Those are signals. Every man who wants to navigate dating successfully must recognize these signs instead of brushing them off. This video is going to break it all down for you. We'll walk through the exact ways women tend to react when they sense you've checked out, and more importantly, what those reactions really mean beneath the surface. Some responses will surprise you, some will confirm what you've already suspected, and others will open your eyes to details you've overlooked before. By the end, you'll see dating dynamics in a way that keeps you ahead. Always.
1. The sudden chase. One of the strongest reactions a woman has when she senses you've lost interest is to suddenly start chasing. This is especially true if she was the one who enjoyed being chased before. Women are naturally wired to value attention from a man they respect, and when that attention starts to fade, it creates a gap she feels compelled to fill. At first, you'll notice subtle moves. Maybe she starts texting you more often, checking in on things she normally wouldn't. She might suddenly like old pictures on your social media or respond faster than usual. This isn't random. It's her way of re-establishing the attention she feels slipping away. She doesn't want to admit she's chasing, so her actions come disguised as casual gestures. But to a man paying close attention, the shift is clear. The chase can escalate depending on how she truly feels about you. If she sees you as high value and worth keeping, she might even step outside her normal comfort zone. For example, a woman who usually plays it cool might start initiating hangouts, asking to see you more often, or even bringing up memories of times when you two were closer. She's hoping nostalgia will reignite what's fading. On a deeper level, this reaction comes from her pride and emotions colliding. A part of her wants to prove to herself that she can still hold your attention, while another part fears losing something she thought was secure. This is why she may act in ways that surprise even her, doing things she swore she'd never do, like double texting, calling late at night, or showing up with sudden gestures of affection. But here's the part you need to remember. The chase isn't always about genuine love or deeper interest. Many times, it's about control and validation. She wants reassurance that she still matters to you, even if she no longer sees you as long-term potential. Once she gets that validation, she may relax and pull away again, satisfied that she won you back. As a man, your job isn't to be manipulated by the sudden attention. Instead, recognize it for what it is: a reaction to your loss of interest. Don't mistake the chase for a guarantee of long-term commitment. Pay attention to whether her actions are consistent over time or if they fade once she feels she has your attention back. When a woman chases after sensing your disinterest, it reveals how much she values your presence in her life. But it also shows how fragile her confidence in the connection has become. The key is to stay grounded. Don't get swept away by the sudden intensity. Watch her actions, not just her words, and you'll see whether her chase is genuine or just temporary. 2. Emotional outbursts. Another common reaction you'll see when a woman realizes you've lost interest is a sudden wave of emotional outbursts. These can range from irritation, frustration, and anger to sadness and confusion. To you, it may feel like she's overreacting or becoming unpredictable, but in her mind, she's fighting a battle between her pride and her emotions. When a woman senses distance, she often interprets it as rejection. Rejection hits differently for women because it challenges both their desirability and their emotional security. So, what does she do? She lashes out. It might be little digs at you in conversation, sarcasm that feels harsher than usual, or passive-aggressive comments about how you don't care anymore. These are not just random remarks. They're emotional signals designed to trigger a reaction from you. Sometimes, instead of going cold, she'll go hot. She may argue more often, bring up issues that never bothered her before, or exaggerate small problems into major ones. This is her way of forcing you to engage. If she feels your attention is slipping, an argument, no matter how negative, still connects her to you. Remember, to her, indifference is far worse than conflict. On the flip side, some women express their outbursts through sadness rather than anger. She may cry, withdraw emotionally, or speak in a tone that drips with disappointment. You might hear phrases like, "You don't talk to me the way you used to," or "I feel like I'm losing you." Even if she doesn't directly admit her fears, her actions, like avoiding eye contact or becoming quieter, reveal her inner turmoil. The danger here for men is falling into the trap of responding with either too much guilt or too much defensiveness. If you over-apologize, you reinforce the idea that emotional outbursts are the only way she can get your attention. If you react with anger, you confirm her fear that you've detached. The best approach is to stay calm, grounded, and observant. Don't dismiss her feelings, but don't let them control your actions either. At its core, her emotional reaction is about regaining balance. She feels something slipping away, and the outburst is her way of testing whether the bond is strong enough to hold. While it may look messy on the surface, it's actually very revealing. A woman who reacts emotionally when you lose interest is showing that she still cares, even if she doesn't express it gracefully. What you must remember is this. Emotions are communication, not just chaos. They are signals pointing you to her fears, her desires, and her pride. If you can look past the noise and see the meaning, you'll understand her reaction more clearly than most men ever will. 3. Pulling away. While some women chase or lash out when they sense you've lost interest, others go in the opposite direction. They pull away. This is one of the most powerful reactions because it's rooted in both pride and self-protection. She doesn't want to appear desperate or needy, so instead of fighting for your attention, she creates distance. At first, you'll notice little changes. Her texts become shorter. She stops initiating conversations. She takes longer to respond, and when she does, her energy feels colder. If she used to share details about her day, now she keeps things vague. If she once laughed freely with you, now her tone is restrained. This isn't random. It's her way of matching your energy while testing if you'll notice the shift. Pulling away is often a defense mechanism. She feels the sting of your fading interest, but instead of chasing validation, she chooses to protect her pride by detaching. It gives her a sense of control. She tells herself, if he doesn't care, then I won't either. Even if she still wants you, she'd rather appear indifferent than risk looking rejected. For many men, this sudden distance can feel confusing. You may think she lost interest first, but in reality, her behavior is often a mirror of yours. Women are masters of emotional mirroring. If you stop showing investment, she reflects it back at you, whether consciously or unconsciously. However, pulling away doesn't always mean she's done. Sometimes it's a calculated move to see if you'll react. By creating distance, she's silently asking, "Will you notice? Will you chase me? Will you fight to bring me back?" If you don't, she takes it as confirmation that your lack of interest is real, and she prepares herself emotionally to move on. The risk for men is misreading this behavior. If you assume her distance means she doesn't care anymore, you might pull away further, and the connection collapses completely. On the other hand, if you rush back with excessive attention, you signal that she can control you with distance. The right balance is awareness, recognizing her pullback without overcompensating. Her silence is communication. The less she says, the more it reveals about her pride, her fears, and her unwillingness to beg for attention. For a man who understands this, her distance becomes a clear signpost. She noticed your detachment, and now she's protecting herself from feeling exposed. When a woman pulls away after realizing you've lost interest, it's a reaction rooted in dignity. She'd rather detach than chase. Whether it means she's preparing to move on or simply testing your response depends on the depth of her feelings. Either way, it's a powerful signal that the dynamic between you has shifted, and it's one you can't afford to ignore. 4. Playing games. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, one of the most noticeable shifts is her decision to play games. Instead of being straightforward about her feelings, she uses strategies designed to stir your emotions, test your attention, and regain a sense of control. These games aren't always malicious. Often, they're driven by insecurity, pride, and the desire to flip the dynamic back in her favor. One of the most common tactics is making you jealous. She might post more revealing pictures online, suddenly highlight her social life, or casually mention other men who are just friends. The timing is rarely a coincidence. It's her way of saying, if you're not paying attention, someone else will. She's hoping to provoke a reaction, whether that's curiosity, jealousy, or a renewed effort from you. Another game is the push and pull dynamic. She'll show interest one moment, replying quickly, acting warm, or even flirting, and then withdraw the next. This unpredictability keeps you guessing. It's a psychological play designed to remind you of her value and make you chase again. The danger for men is getting trapped in this cycle, constantly trying to win her back each time she pulls away. Sometimes the game takes the form of mixed signals. She may say she's too busy to meet, yet still stays active on social media. She may act cold in person, but warm over text. These contradictions are not random. They're her way of creating uncertainty, because uncertainty often keeps men hooked longer than clear rejection. What's important to understand is that when she starts playing games, it's rarely about genuine fun. It's about leverage. She feels the balance of power slipping, and games are her way of reclaiming it. If you fall into the trap of reacting emotionally to every move, you hand her the control she's looking for. The smartest approach is to recognize the games without feeding into them. If she tries to make you jealous, don't overreact. If she becomes unpredictable, stay consistent. If she sends mixed signals, don't chase clarity, observe instead. By staying calm and centered, you show her that her tactics don't shake your foundation. That, ironically, is what often makes her respect you again. Here's the truth. Games only work on men who lack self-control. A man who sees the pattern, understands the motive, and chooses not to dance to the rhythm immediately separates himself from the pack. Women notice that. Even if she doesn't admit it, she feels it when her tactics fail to throw you off. When a woman plays games after realizing you've lost interest, it's a sign of both care and pride colliding. She wants your attention, but she refuses to ask for it directly. By staying steady, you take away the power of the game and put the focus back where it belongs, on real consistency. 5. Testing your interest. When a woman senses your interest fading, one of her instinctive reactions is to start testing you. Unlike the obvious chase or emotional outbursts, these tests are often subtle, calculated, and disguised as casual moments. She isn't always aware she's doing it consciously, but the goal is clear. She wants to measure how much you still value her. These tests usually come in the form of small challenges. For example, she may delay responding to your messages just to see if you'll double text. She might cancel or reschedule plans to gauge how patient you'll be. Sometimes she'll even bring up controversial topics to spark a reaction. All of this is done to check whether you're still invested or if you're ready to let go. One classic test is the bait and withdraw. She'll act warm, flirt, or show affection, then suddenly pull back. If you chase immediately, she gets the answer she's looking for. You still care. If you remain composed and don't break your frame, she realizes you're not easily manipulated, which earns respect, even if she doesn't admit it. Another form of testing comes through her words. She may ask questions like, "Do you even like me anymore?" Or, "You've changed, haven't you?" Though it sounds like she's seeking reassurance, what she really wants is to see how you handle pressure. Do you get defensive? Do you over-explain? Or do you calmly reassure without losing your ground? The way you respond tells her everything about where your interest truly lies. Women also test by observing your consistency. If she notices you're suddenly less available, she might purposely mirror your behavior. She'll stop initiating, go quiet, or act distracted. This isn't her losing interest. It's her way of reflecting your energy to see if you'll notice. She wants to confirm whether your shift is intentional or if you're just drifting away without caring. For men, the challenge is recognizing these tests without failing them. The biggest mistake is overreacting, getting defensive, chasing too hard, or showing frustration. The second biggest mistake is ignoring them completely and acting cold, which can push her into pulling away for good. The balance is in responding with calm confidence. Don't jump through hoops, but don't act careless either. Think of these tests as checkpoints. They are her way of reassessing the connection when she feels uncertain. If you handle them with composure, you communicate strength, stability, and control. Qualities women respect deeply. If you crumble under them, you reinforce her suspicion that you've lost interest or that you're not strong enough to handle her emotions. When a woman tests you, after realizing you've pulled back, it's less about tricking you and more about reassurance. She wants proof, without directly asking, that she still matters. If you can navigate these moments without losing your frame, you'll not only pass the test, but also re-establish your position as the steady, confident man she doesn't want to lose. 6. Boosting her independence. Another reaction you'll see when a woman realizes you've lost interest is her sudden emphasis on independence. She begins showcasing how strong, self-sufficient, and unbothered she is, whether she truly feels that way or not. This isn't just about her lifestyle, it's a statement. She wants you to notice that she's doing fine without you, even if deep down your distance stings. At first, this may show up in her words. She'll start saying things like, "I've been so busy with my own stuff," or "I don't have time for drama." It might sound casual, but it's intentional. She's trying to make you aware that she isn't waiting around for your attention. She frames herself as a woman who doesn't need you because admitting she does would feel like weakness. Social media is one of her favorite tools here. Suddenly, you'll see posts of her out with friends, traveling, hitting the gym, or diving into hobbies. The captions might carry hints of independence, quotes about self-love, growth, or not tolerating games. It's all carefully curated to send a message. You may be pulling away, but I'm thriving without you. In her actions, independence can look like prioritizing everything else above you. She may become more invested in her career, spend more time with her friends, or suddenly pursue new projects she had put off before. This isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes it's genuine growth. But when it's triggered by your loss of interest, it's also a shield. Her way of protecting her pride and proving to herself that she's valuable outside of your attention. For many men, this shift feels confusing. You might think she no longer cares or that she's completely detached. But often, the opposite is true. If she didn't care at all, she wouldn't feel the need to showcase her independence so strongly. The louder the "I don't need you" message becomes, the more it reveals that she noticed your disinterest. The key for men is not to get baited into reacting emotionally. If you chase harder when she displays independence, you feed the performance. If you get angry, you reinforce her claim that she doesn't need the drama. The best move is to respect her space, but also pay attention to whether her actions are consistent over time. Does she truly live this new independent lifestyle, or does she circle back to check if you've noticed? Boosting independence after realizing you've lost interest is a mix of pride and self-defense. She wants to regain control over her emotions by proving she doesn't rely on you. Whether it's real or just for show, it's her way of balancing the power dynamic. As a man, understanding this prevents you from misreading her moves. Independence doesn't always mean she's gone. It often means she's reacting loudly to the shift she feels. 7. Moving on fast. One of the most striking reactions a woman can have when she realizes you've lost interest is moving on quickly. To a man, it can feel shocking. One day she seemed invested, and the next she's already seeing someone new, flirting openly, or acting like you never mattered. But this reaction is often less about her genuine attachment to the new guy, and more about how she copes with the blow of your disinterest. For many women, moving on fast is about reclaiming control. If she feels rejected, the quickest way to soothe that sting is by proving to herself and to you that she's still desirable. Suddenly, she may become more active on dating apps, reconnect with old flings, or surround herself with male attention. It's not always about finding love. Sometimes it's about showing, both to herself and the world, that she has options. Social media plays a big role here. You'll notice her posting more pictures where she looks her best, tagging herself at events or hinting at new friends. Even if she doesn't say it outright, the timing is designed to get your attention. She's silently saying, "If you don't want me, someone else does." The message is less about her new connections and more about reminding you of her value. In other cases, she may genuinely dive into a new relationship quickly. But this, too, is often a rebound. She's trying to fill the emotional gap left by your fading interest. The new guy may be exciting, but deep down, her sudden leap forward is a coping mechanism, a way to avoid sitting with the pain of rejection. For men, seeing this can be frustrating. You might wonder if she ever cared, or if your time together meant nothing. But here's the truth. Moving on fast is often the biggest sign that she did care. If she was unaffected, she wouldn't feel the urgency to prove her desirability so quickly. Her actions are fueled by pride, hurt, and the need to re-establish balance in her self-image. The danger here is reacting emotionally. If you confront her, accuse her of being fake, or chase her harder, you give her exactly what she wants, proof that you still care. Instead, the smartest move is to stay composed. Let her actions play out without feeding into them. Over time, you'll see whether her fast move on is real growth or just a temporary performance to mask the sting of your withdrawal. When a woman moves on quickly after realizing you've lost interest, it's her way of turning rejection into a stage for her independence and desirability. It might sting to watch, but if you look beneath the surface, you'll see it for what it is. A reaction, not always a resolution. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, her reactions reveal more than you might think. From chasing and emotional outbursts to pulling away, playing games, testing you, boosting independence, or moving on fast, each behavior is rooted in pride, self-protection, and a desire to gauge your value. Understanding these responses gives you clarity and control in modern dating. The key is to observe without overreacting, stay confident, and recognize the signals beneath the surface. Pay attention to actions over words, remain grounded, and you'll navigate her reactions with composure, respect, and insight.